Happy Canada Day. It's Friday, July 1st, and we're out here walking the K&P Trail south from Petworth Road. Also a happy July 4th to any American viewers that may be on at this time, and to any other viewers from other places. If you have holidays, happy holidays to you too. This always feels like the official start of summer to me, even though it actually began on June 21st. But July 1st always makes me feel like spring is definitely over. The depths of summer are here now, and things are going to get hot and humid probably for the next 2 months. On this day, it's always good to be a little patriotic, at least, even if you're not all that patriotic through the rest of the year, or overtly patriotic. While we may all have disagreements from time to time on how our various countries are run, it's still a good time to be thankful for what you have. Here in Canada, we're very free people. We are free to do whatever we want for the most part, within reason. So yes, there are sometimes issues with various policies of governments and things, but by and large, people try to run things diligently and logically at this time when governments around the world are facing extreme challenges and powers within that want to turn their democracies into autocracies. So that's certainly something we should all be wary of and shy away from, or fight to stay away from. We don't want to become dictatorships. We can see where that leads when you look at countries like Russia. So they're saying sunny with cloudy periods and chance of showers and thunderstorms later today. There is a band right now that isn't too far to the north of showers and thunderstorms, but they're not really moving south very quickly. They're mainly heading east. From the future radar, it looks like we may just get scraped by slightly this afternoon, but it's hard to tell. Maybe things will develop more fully. Anyhow, right now it's predominantly cloudy. A few sunny breaks and a bit of a breeze, and probably 24 degrees and quite humid. So it's a nice warm day. The mosquitoes were pretty thick on that last section of trail here. Looks like they must be trying to pack down this little parking area here a bit with this machine. You may be able to read here the impression on this old bridge abutment here, 1926. They often imprinted the dates like this on these small culvert type bridges that are scattered along the section of the K&P Trail down here. When I see these dates, I often think back to what times must have been like around here in those days. There would have been few, if any, airplanes flying over. Even cars would have been fairly rare, I suspect. Much more so than today. The roads would have been very crude. Highway 401 wasn't constructed yet. Just old Highway 2, maybe, in those days. Not coming out this far, probably. Horses and carriages still would have been quite predominant, and people would have been largely living off the land for a lot of their food. The big supermarkets of today wouldn't have been there, just the small ma and pa shops dotting the countryside and in the small villages. So amazing what 100 years or so can do to the feeling of a local atmosphere. This rail line, the Kingston and Pembroke line, now referred to as the K&P for short, was built in the 1870s, and it continued to operate fully until around the 1950s or so, and was then gradually taken out of service. And by the 1980s, it was virtually all derailed and turned into just basically a trail that wasn't then looked after at all, and it became overgrown and very segmented. And it's only in the last number of years that local communities and townships have taken it upon themselves to create or reestablish this open trail on this former rail line. So that's really nice to have this in many of the local communities to access for walking, biking, cycling, ATV use at times in certain areas. Get to see the local countryside from each side. You can see why they call these trees trembling aspens. They're trembling today. I've always seen this big open bare rock here as we walk by on the trail, but I've always assumed that it's private land, and it may be, but I saw a reference to it the other night as I scanned the internet for various things, and it made it sound like maybe the township owns this or something, because a lot of people come in here and do various things like running their ATVs around the area and stuff, and it sounded like it's just a local spot where a lot of people come to do various activities, I guess. So I figured maybe it's township land. Just this large expanse of limestone rock that probably has had its soil scraped off of it. It looks like it's probably been an old pit, I assume, because there are mounds around the edges of it. And now it's largely used, or often used, I guess, by local kids to come in and run their dirt bikes and ATVs and other things in here. Quite an extensive area. Larger than I thought it would be. Follow this little dirt trail here and see what we can see from the top of the hill. If anything. This way though. So just an extended trail going through some meadows here. Over to a red cedar area. I think it comes in behind Harrowsmith Park. That's probably where it's heading. So we're at a crossing of trails here. One set heads up that way, and then the one we're following is that way, and then there's another one off this way. I think maybe we'll turn here, Zoe, and head off to the west. I suspect this will lead back down onto the big flat rock area. And then we can continue our walk along the trail. back out on the trail now. That was an interesting little side tour onto what they call the rock, I guess. I suspect it must be an old pit, and then they just took the sand out until they got to the limestone bedrock. Here's the confluence of the K&P and the Cataraqui Trail, just west of Harrowsmith. Got a nice little garden and bench for people to sit down on. A memorial to a fellow, I'm not sure what the history is there, but this little memory monument here. Here's a little south entry into the big rock area where we just were. And there's some limestone here that's more cracked or fragmented, and it's got sedum growing all over the top of it in bloom, all this yellow stuff. Sedum acre. And there's also yarrow and daisies. Quite a pretty little section. Well, it's just closing in on 11 o'clock and we're just coming up to the Graham Road Marsh here. I've been delayed a bit because I met a fellow on the trail who was a photographer, and we got talking about all things photography related, camera gear mainly. So we spent probably a good 20 minutes talking about various camera models and all the advantages and disadvantages of each one and the different types. So that was an interesting discussion. It's always fun to hash it out with people in the know like that. So we're a little slow getting back, but no rush. Still a half decent day and just calm and cloudy and humid. So 11:20 and we're just coming up to Petworth Road where I parked. So that's pretty well the end of the journey this Canada Day. So hope you've enjoyed this little outing. Hope you've all had a good Canada Day so far, and we'll continue to have a nice one. Or a 4th of July on Monday for those of you in the States. And for others, wherever you may be, have a nice holiday or a nice weekend as it may be. Catch you later.